in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Russell Wright, Network Empire, ThemeZoom.com. I'm here with my friend Matt DeCruz. Today we are going to launch into week 4 of the Tech Foundation training, how to research, plan, create, and execute quickly your SEO website set architecture, as well as how to create and sculpt your business plans, your painkiller keywords and strategies, and so much more. Thanks for joining us today, Matt, from South Africa.
Hey, Russ, thanks for having me here tonight, guys.
This is really going to be a lot of fun. We still have people kind of rolling in from the various things. We have some, as you guys all know, this is a perpetual mastermind group. It's the only model of its kind that we have discovered that's also blended with a university style and level market domination training. We're quickly gathering notoriety of being one of the most advanced online combos of internet marketing, traditional business architecture, and SEO in the world. In fact, as far as we know, there's nobody who blend all 4 of those categories. So a lot of excitement is rolling out. We just got back from Nashville Live. Matt was not able to join us this year. He was too busy doing many other developmental things, including preparing this course for you. However, the feedback that we got from this course and many others was over the top. We had a packed room full of 200 people, and Sue and I communicated, taught them all week, so we're just now coming in from landing on that. So Matt's going to be talking about the site silo architecture and content. Is that correct, Matt?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm just going to let you guys...
That's the preparation before we're actually going to get stuck right into building the site. So I'm just going to show the guys what I do and give them tips and techniques to speed things up so we get things faster.
Before we get rolling, can I just make sure that you guys actually can hear me and also, more importantly, hear Matt? Give us a 1 on the questions dashboard so that we know that we can do that you can hear us. I will not be here through this entire call because we have some exciting developments in the brand new SEO silo plugins. As you guys know, we have completely rebuilt the silo plugins from the ground up and added a new plugin that allows you, called Simple Silo Builder, a simple silo plugin that allows you to create a 1 layer deep. It'll be very useful for some of you who are doing specific strategies with your blog. And so with that, I might have to do a little bit of stuff with our developer, but I'll be off and on the call. Well, it's good to see you. Mitch, it's always great to have you. You're auditing our course. And we have all sorts of other people rolling in. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put it on the question thing here, and we'll jump right in and answer the question. Thanks, Matt.
Cool, excellent. Okay, guys, let's get stuck right in. So basically, last week I took you guys through Kraken. We're going to be getting the website up and running. The webinar from last week's recording up and running for the guys who missed it. But this week, what I'm going to do is, as we're drilling out your keywords in Kraken, and as you guys send your keywords in through the help desk, I'm going to be going through drilling them through this week. So in this course, what we basically do is we go to a stage where we set up our site framework. So I'll just talk you through that quickly and explain what's going on. Once the site framework's up, by that time you should be getting all the keyword back from me. And then we'll put this information into DWS and we'll start actually mapping out the silo architecture. So I'm just going to take you through the motions very quickly and show you what we do. And then I'll answer some questions. Okay, first thing, can you give me a 1 if you can hear me clearly?
Yeah, looks like you're good, Matt.
Okay, awesome. Right. Can you guys hear me? The call just went quiet.
No, you're good. We can hear you.
Okay, I had a bit of a delay. Okay, cool, awesome. Right. Okay, so guys, first thing I want to speak about today is the site framework, okay? This is where we set up what we need to build out the WR1 framework. Okay, so as we go through this process, there's going to be 3 or 4 common terms that I want to define before I proceed. And the one thing is, when I speak about actions, that's when you actually do something. For example, you'll go to Freebase and you'll fill in a form. That's an action. You take an action. You're doing something like that. Then I'll be speaking about components. Components are typically when you use a third-party piece of code or platform to plug into your network, so you actually utilize their facilities to enhance your site. Okay, so week 3, typically what we do is we go and we set up all the components that we need. Okay, so when we look at the site and the WR1, WRS1 frameworks, this framework runs through the WR1 and the WR2s, and even up to the WR3s, depending on what you're doing. But in this course, we're going to focus on the WR1 framework and the WRS1 framework. Okay, so from a server, typically you got your server, right? That's at the bottom layer. Then on the server, we get our domains that we use. Now with the framework, when we build the frameworks, what we typically do is we'll put the primary money site, okay, I call it a transaction engine, on the www. This is typically how we set this up, okay. So that's where the WR1 WordPress money primary site will go. That will be one installation of WordPress. Then we're going to create a subdomain, okay, and this can be blog, news, whatever you want to call it, and this is we're going to put our blog, our broadcasting engine. This is going to be the blog of the site. And we call it a broadcasting engine is because from the blog we're going to plug in the one feed, okay, and we're going to utilize the blog to basically feed our information out through the one feed, which will then connect to our social accounts like Facebook, Twitter, and we'll broadcast that out, and we'll take the RSS and we'll syndicate that out further across the web. Okay, so when we look at this map, we've got our domains, we've got 2 installations of WordPress, and then we've got our components. Now, with this framework, what we've done is we've got a payment gateway, which is a component, the autoresponder, which is a component, analytics, which is a component. We have default plugins. These are the things like SEO plugins that you like using and stuff that we use that can actually automatically configure the site. That's the default plugins. We'll speak about that shortly. Your backup plan, how you're going to back up your site and your content and your data. Content distribution networks, CDNs, that's a component that you can use. The one feed is a component. It's where we utilize RSS to syndicate across the web. And then semantic web tagging. This is typically an action. Okay. Soon there will be a plugin coming out, if I understand things are correct, and that will manage that. Also, the semantic stuff gets built into some of the WordPress themes that we've developed that you can get through Network Empire that Kevin Polly's done. Okay, so guys, can you give me a 1 if you understand the difference between actions and components? Okay, awesome. So there's a question about Mitch, and he's asking, yes, no www on the sub. Mitch, can you clarify that question of what you're asking there? It's not too clear. Typically what we do is we're just going to have the www, so it'll be www.yourdomain.com, and we're going to build our money site there. So when we look at Sassy, Sassy is built on a www, okay, .sassy. Hair salon, there's the website. That's on the www. For Sassy, when we plug the blog in, okay, that'll be news or blog, and that'll be blog.sassyhairsalon.co.za. Okay. Mitch, you don't have to use a www when you create a subdomain. If you think a www is essentially a subdomain, okay, that sits within the root of the site. If we just did sassy.coza and we took the www, that's the actual domain. Okay, so when we just got sassy.coza, that's the top level domain. Most people are used to doing the wwws up front, so that's why we put our transaction engine over there. That's the corporate ID, the face that people see. This is the company's website. Okay. On the blog, that's where we're going to talk about the news and the events and things that we're doing and the latest stuff. Now, at the moment, Sassy uses Facebook page as their broadcasting engine. Okay, this is where they drive a lot of business from the Facebook page, and this is the combination we're using, particularly now with Sassy. We've got Sassy, and we're using the social platform as a blog. So you can see the girls are using their phones, and they're very, very active. So I'm going to paste this into the chat channel so you guys can have a look at that page. And this is the money site for Sassy. Okay. Right, so we've got these 2 sites. The active, we can see we've got people communicating over 1,585 original likes. There's a lot of people visiting from all over the world. When we look at about, it tells us our demographic that we're speaking to. So Facebook's a really cool platform to use to understand who your actual market is and who you're talking to and what's going on with them. Okay, so let's get back to what we're doing here. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to look a bit deeper at the money site. Okay, so you can see the gray out area over here. That's where the blog is going to be. But the first thing we're going to set up is our www. Okay, this is our transaction engine. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into this, and guys, can you just tell me if you can actually see and read this clearly? Just give me a 1. Okay. So the process I follow, where you're going to see this here is in the Tech Foundation course under Site Framework. You scroll down the page, you'll see this embedded here. This gives you the path that I follow. So it's in the course material. You can actually check this chart we're looking at now. So what we do is we typically install our blog, and the way I go about doing that is I go to cPanel. I use the Soft Delicious app installer that's part of cPanel. You find it under Scripts, and then I install WordPress. Once the installation is complete and the software is set up, you basically give it your database settings, the site settings, admin account, and you set up the whole WordPress thing. You then select your plugins and you install WordPress. Okay. Once it's logged in, you can basically go and add all your new plugins, and that's the plugins that we typically suggest using. The Silo Border plugin, Google XML. For this course, we've used Yoast Google Analytics. We used Yoast SEO. The local plugin, you must buy it. I've actually moved away from the Yoast Yokel, and I'm just hand coding the semantic stuff. I'm not really utilizing this anymore. I'm using what Kevin shows us in the semantic course to do this, and I'll show you some samples on Saturday of what I've done. And it was super easy to do that. And then the video sitemap XML for when you're putting videos on your site. Those are the basic components, or the bare components. Now, if we look at what we've done here, we've actually installed a blog. Okay, so a pure clean blog. There's no copies, no clones. We've got on our domain, we've logged in, and we've installed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these plugins, and we basically go through the course and we get them configured. So what I've done for you guys here is, when you look at the course, you can actually see how I've installed all the plugins. I've got the steps for each one. Okay. Now, one of the other plugins I suggest installing is Brute Protect. Okay. I saw the WordPress with Sassy Sites. The site's been, they've tried to hack into our site 741 times, and this Brute Protect just basically blocks them. It stops the guys breaking into your sites. So later in this course, we're going to speak a lot more about security. Okay. So once we've set that up there, okay, then we'll do the same for the blog. And you can see it's almost the same type of thing. The only difference is we're creating a subdomain over here in the step. So there's one little extra step here, and that's installing and creating a subdomain, and then telling the Soft Delicious app installer where it is, and then setting up your blog, and then doing the same thing over again. Okay. So I'll give you step-by-step instructions in detail all the way through here, even on to how to go and create and clone your WordPress primary blog. Now, who of you are familiar with cloning? Give me one if you know, if you've ever cloned sites, or 2 if you've not. Okay. What I typically do, guys, in a production environment to speed things up, every time I board a site and I set up the theme and I like the look and feel, when I set up that perfect blog, I will actually download the entire blog and the database. I make a full backup of that actual blog, and I store it in Dropbox in a library where I name the theme. So whenever I want to use that look and feel again, I actually clone the whole thing with the plugins all configured, everything set up, and I archive that look and feel, and I start building up a library. So when I come to board out sites, I can just go and grab out of my library, and I can restore that actual backup I made, and it actually brings the whole site back up. That actually saves you hours of time, and I just wanted to mention that little technique that I use there to do it. It's very easy. In the course here, I showed you clone it. Okay. So what you want to do this week is essentially go and set up your blog. Okay. Set up your WordPress site on your primary money site. Get them configured. Follow these steps that we got here. because from weeks 3 to 5, we're going to keep on coming back and we're going to be building on this actual layer that we've done. And it's much easier when you do this once, get it set up, and then you can actually archive it, prep it, put it in a library, come back, clone, create your blog, and move the copy straight across. And do everything like that one shot for the framework. You don't want to do it afterwards when you've actually gone and built your site, put your silo structure in architecture, because when you clone that, you carry all that other stuff with you, and you have to go and take it out again, so you don't want to do that. Do you guys have any questions on this section, or are you clear? Do you sort of understand the framework and how it works and what we're doing here? Just give me a 1. Cool. Welton's saying I use WP Twin to clone sites. Welton, I've actually not used it, and if you recommend it's good, I'll give it a try. I'm always looking for things that can speed up production. Guys, in the Tech Foundation, what you want to do is whenever you're thinking about your shop and how you're doing all these technical jobs, try and find tools that actually save you time. The more you can cut off your production time to deploy a framework, the more profit you actually make. You're reducing your IT debt every time you're saving time. So I'll definitely, thanks for that there. I'll have a look at WP Twin. I've not used it before. Jared's asking here, why wouldn't you embed the blog within the money site with something like sassy hairstyle /news? Jared, what we do is, the reason why we split the two entities up into two components is because they both play a vital role in the framework. And from a security perspective, if you keep your blog and your money site together on the www root like you've shown, he's basically said sassy hair salon /news. If that site gets hacked and someone locks you out, or they deface your website, or they drop a virus, or they do whatever, okay, or they corrupt your data, as soon as they break in, okay, and they corrupt that entity, that means that whole WR1 is down. So with the framework, if someone attacks one side, at least the other side's still up and is loose. It's a loosely built system where components have specific purposes. So that allows us to actually come and have multiple single points of failure rather than one single point of failure. The same applies with the components if you add at the bottom. We can plug different payment gateways in, we can plug in different autoresponders, whatever we like. With this framework, we can actually just move things about, and we always get the same standard result out. So I don't recommend keeping the blog and the money site together, because essentially your money site's like your corporate ID. It's the Rolls Royce of the company. The blog is the communication engine of the company. So if one of them gets damaged, you want to still keep yourself loosely built. So if it's only a single point of failure and it doesn't bring the whole system down. Does that answer your question, Jared? Cool. So guys, do you understand the concept of loosely built applications, or the concept of loosely built? Do you understand that? Give me one if you do, or two if you don't. I'll just give you quickly a bit of thought of why we built a system like this. Yeah, with loosely built frameworks, if everything was sort of connected into one thing, like it was a big piece of software, what would happen is if something broke, the whole system would stop. And what we're trying to build with the WRM framework is an engine that communicates in real time, if you think about it. So as soon as you tweet, or as soon as you write a blog post, your voice, your message is going everywhere. As soon as you publish a video, it spreads across the entire network that we set up. And it's organic and it's all related, and it's a symbiotic thing that's connected into the market. Just by the way, we're going to build the silo architecture and then create our DNA braids. You'll see how we start spreading out into the market. But we need the framework to hold and keep it stable. So as this entity grows with the market, the whole system is robust. It doesn't fall down. So that's why we make it loosely coupled, where we can plug things in and we can plug them out. So if something is breaking something, for example, let's just say WordPress is an update and the one plugin doesn't work and it's giving you a white screen. All you got to do is pull that plugin out and your website's back up. The same applies with the framework. Okay, so there's another question here. He's asking, we'll get into content to put, yes, Jared, what we're doing, I want to show you guys what we're doing is essentially we're building layers. We started off with defining our product. That was the first layer. The second layer was finding the pain in the market, understanding what people wanted. The third was looking at the market with market research and Kraken and understanding the language used and what are the conversations going on and how our product connects in and how our solutions meet up with the market personality, because you've got the market personality, you've got your product, and you've got your business. We have to create congruency between all three via the keywords that people use to search online. So from there, we've done all this research. That's what I'm doing for you this week. I'm going to run through all that keyword research for you and get it prepped for you. We're then going to come now, and this week we're going to set up the framework for our site. So the guys who've got their frameworks up already, you're way ahead. Okay. So the reason why I'm just going through this so the guys can understand this. Okay. So once the framework's up, then we're ready to actually start building the silo site. Okay. This is where you're going to get the keywords back. And for the guys who've got the basic membership area, you can go to minime.networkempire.com. This is part of your, I'm going to put in the chat window for you guys. This is part of the Any Basic package, and if you got the Pro version, you can get the unlimited site version. You can see all the sites that we've worked on and played around with. We'll just jump into this demo tree service. Let's see what we got here. Local SEO, where's the nice one? Let's use, okay, we use SEO. Okay, so yes, SEO, when we get inside, this is the first empire, and what we're trying to do is get 200 conversions a month. That's our goal we set up in DWS. So the way this works is when you log in, you essentially click create. Okay, or you'll have a fake empire over here. You can actually open it and you can go and update it if you want to. Okay, so we go to Sassy. I've created this profile. I click the button create, and I'm just going to go to the site parameters where we can update it all. So when we come in with Sassy, the market that I want to basically dominate in is the hair market and the hair and wedding market. Okay, so the whole concept of DWS was to take this valuable information we got back from Kraken, all this market intelligence. We know who the competitors are, we understand how strong they are by the domain authority, we understand what products and services they're selling because we've looked at their sites, we've got a good feel of how they're presenting themselves. Now, after we've actually gone and looked at who our competition is and how they present themselves and where they're found, we can now come to our site and build our site structure out. So with DWS, what we did now was we created this application to bring some business intelligence and merge it together with the keyword metadata that we've gotten out of Kraken. Okay, because Kraken's given us the top 30 keywords, and what we do with the exports we're going to send to you, we use the advanced export, which gives us the whole data set. So you'll get a few hundred keywords, but they're very important keywords, and these are the words we're going to use to tell our story. And with DWS, we're going to take our business rules, we're going to feed them in, define locales, what web brings it for, and we're going to set up some conversion parameters, and then we're going to start our project and we're going to import the keyword data in. Okay, so I'm just going to do this for you quickly and show you. Okay, so in the course on week 4, this is the link for week 4. If you go through how I do it, I show you guys in detail, so don't worry if you get a bit lost now, but I just want to demonstrate how easy it is to actually add stuff to a website using the tool. Okay, so when we start off, I start off with my primary keyword being hair. Okay, so actually it's hair salon. That's what I want it to be, so I'm just going to update that. Sassy is a hair salon. That's the industry they're working. So that's the top level keyword, our primary targeted keyword. For hair salon, I want to be #1 across the whole nation. That's my goal. I've put my domain in. If I have a blog, I can stick that in over there. My profile name, I've just said Sassy Hair and Makeup Studio. What type of site this is? This is a primary site. This is W1. This is free text. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I typically call this my primary money site. This is for my WR1 primary web ring. Now with the tool you can see we can create different types of frameworks for different parts of the web ring system. Okay, so the next thing I look at is my project market. Guys, can you see this or should I zoom in? Is it too small? Just give me one if it's too small. Okay. I'll just make this a bit bigger. Guys, can you hear me? Can you give me a 1 if you can still hear me? Okay, awesome. Okay, it's a bit quiet today without Russell on the line. Okay, so the project target market, right? This is the locale we're working. So I'm looking at the South African search engine for this project. The currency is South Africa. And in order to keep things in line with the US market, okay, I built in a little currency exchange module that helps us adjust our costings and our pricings, okay. So the way this works, because in the US, you can just basically leave this at 1, the default at 1, okay. The conversion rate for $1 is basically 10 South African Rand at the moment. And if you click on this link, it'll open up and show you the currencies. You can copy and paste them in. Here's the important part, the project starter settings. What I recommend is just leave them as they are for now, okay? You don't have to worry about them, okay? The project development cost, a backlink cost, typically the way this works is when you write a piece of content to create backlinks, okay, I'll just say one article gives me backlinks, so it costs me whatever that article cost me to write. Whether I put 1, 2, or 3 backlinks in there, it doesn't matter. The bare minimum is still going to cost me X for one backlink. So what I do is I put a backlink cost, that's like for promotional material, and then a content cost. This is for your prime content. This is the premium content you're going to put on your website, the stuff you're going to put up in your blog. What does it cost you to write an article? Okay. So whatever, if you write it yourself and it takes you an hour, it typically takes an hour to write a good article based on what people say. Fill in 25 bucks, whatever your price is. Okay. So the next thing we're going to look at is the project conversion rules. And this is where we start working with the traffic, how the traffic flows and how the people hop from one traffic stream into another one to find our stuff. Okay. So I'm going to go through this now. But before I do this, let me just answer 1 or 2 questions before I move on. Okay, Erwin's asking, can we import Kraken data into DWS? Yes, you can, Erwin. I'm going to show you how you do it now. And would it have the same effect as when we import from TLKT? Yes. DWS is compatible with both Kraken and TLKT, and I'll show you how we can pull them in. But Walter's asking, can you push the screen to the right a bit? I can see field titles. Just shut some stuff out. Is that better? Let's minimize that. Is that better, Welton? Has that moved? You can't see the field titles. Let me just pull this in like this a bit. How's that? Is that better? Can you give me one if it's better? Must be your screen because I've shrunk my side. Okay, I'm going to move on. Project conversion rules. Right, so let's look at our traffic. Okay. When a person searches, they go to Google, they type in a query. The result comes back. Okay, so if we go to Google and we just type in hair salon, okay, we get a result. Let's see if I'm on page 1 yet for hair salon. Probably not. Hair salon Port Elizabeth. There we go. We're in position number 1. Okay. So I've outranked one of our top competitors, a Facebook page with 2 backlinks. I love this game. Okay, cool. So someone's typed in hair salon Port Elizabeth. We pop up Sassy Hair Salon, the first choice for hair and beauty. Okay. So there I've done my first attempt at persuasion headline copy that Russell's going to teach us about next week when we talk about persuasion copy. And that's the A DNA and the V DNA, which is the article DNA, video DNA. When we speak about DNA, guys, we're speaking about things that are made up of. Okay. So if they follow the link, they'll land on our homepage. I'm just going to move this down a bit so we can follow the path. So they're going to the root of the site. So they click, they land here, this is what they see. Okay, so what we're talking about there is this first one, the Google traffic conversion from position number 1. I'm saying 25%. Okay, I'm saying 25% of the people that type that keyword in will click on my link. Guys, can you give me a one if that's clear, if you understand what I'm doing there? Now, when we're doing this, we're trying to scale the traffic down because we'd rather come from a conservative point of view, okay? Like when you look at media, newspapers, when they do print advertising, the conversion rate is typically 1%. You've got 1,000 people, you might get 10 people buying your stuff, okay? So that's what we talk about there when we speak about the Google traffic conversion. The next thing is your website's conversion of the Google traffic. So of the 25% that's hit our site, 1% of them will actually convert, okay? I typically put 1% in on all my projects when I start, just because I want to have the bare minimum when I see the keyword metadata coming back when we import keywords into DWS, okay? Mitch got a question here. For business rules, no, Mitch, the way the currency converter works when you're in other currencies, if you work in the US and you're doing quoting in the US, just use US dollars. That's when you define the country. You don't have to tweak anything over here. It's just defaulted to 1, so it'll be fine for the American people. But for people outside that work in the UK and we're looking at cost per clicks and things like this, we just like to convert stuff so we can get a better feel for what it's going to really cost us. Okay. In our own currency. It's just the way the algorithm works. It allows us to change the variables so we can look at things in a different way. Okay. If you're doing affiliate sales, guys, there's an extra hop in the process. So let's just say the SASE fan page is the affiliate landing site. So we've got ourselves ranked. Okay, they've clicked, they've hit our website, they like that picture. This is our call to action. They click on this, and it takes them here, and they're on the affiliate site, and you've basically cookied them, right? This is an extra step in the process. Now, what DWS allows you to do is you can actually turn it down. So let's just say 40% of the people come down. What that does is scales the traffic right down, and it starts applying your business rules to it and your profit rules, and you can actually see, is it worthwhile actually competing for this keyword? Am I going to actually potentially make profit out of it? So DWS helps us look at keywords from a different perspective when we start choosing keywords, and it helps us be more selective. Okay. The next section is for opt-in lists. So if you've got a site opt-in list, what's your percentage of conversions? And when you're selling to that list, what do you think your conversion rate will be if you actually start sending them communications? You can put it in. We got in at 5, but typically start with 1% and be conservative. You can always change and update it as you move on. Okay, and then lastly, what's your average profit? Okay, how much money do you make when you sell? Okay, now there's 2 ways you can use this. When you're using the project conversion rules, and let's just say you're building a website for a client, and the client's looking for leads, and the leads come in and they phone the person back and they close the lead, and you're processing leads for them. What you must say to them is, out of every 10 leads that you get, how many do you convert? And they'll say 3, 5, 10. Okay, whatever the number is, if they're converting 70%, stick that in there. And then what that does is it changes the metadata as if it's the same for affiliates to give you the numbers that are working with it. Okay, the profit over here, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either just put the profit. I usually just work with the profit because I want to see, okay, what profit will this keyword make me? So if I've got a product and I'm selling it for $100 and my profit's $40, I would put $40 in. For SASE, we just put the price in, okay, of what it'll cost for a typical bride. Okay, bride will come in with 2 or 3 bridesmaids. That whole job, what it'll cost us. We get that from 1 lead. Okay, I've just done a case study. I'm busy polishing it up for you guys. I showed Mitch it yesterday. I've just drip-fed it out to see if I got all the things answered. But it's actually quite an interesting story of what we've done with SASE, and I get right down into analytics, and I show you things and how the components work. Okay, so the next section here we got here is the traffic conversion calculator. Now, once you fill in your profit here, what's your total financial goal monthly? Like, what do you want to turn over from this website? What's your dream? Okay, stick that in there. Or what's your client want? If they want to earn out of the website channel $10,000 a month, put 10,000 in there. What's your budget for the year? Okay, so you stick that in over there. And then basically what this does is it'll tell you, based on the conversion rates, how many people you need, how much traffic do you need to get a month to achieve those business goals. So we started off the project putting a few flags in the ground to try and see, okay, what keywords will help us meet those targets. Okay, is that clear, guys? Do you guys sort of understand the business decision screen? Just give me one if you understand it, or if there's any things that aren't clear there yet. Walton's asking, did you send the SASE case study out? No, not yet, Walton. I'm going to be moving it into the members area, and I'll put a link in the channel when it's up. Okay. Right, so once your project's created, what you see here is basically the import my keywords, design my site, mark for publishing, build my website, export my blueprint, and then do a blog boost. Okay, so this process shows you how we go through the layers as we build it. So the first thing we're going to do is when I give you the keywords, you'll basically see, let me just open this up. Okay, let me find one here. You'll find a folder I'll send you. You'll have market analysis, hair salon. Then inside you're going to see blueprint, competitors, discovered keywords, interesting keywords, white papers, and then the keywords, the primary ones we drilled into for you. These are the keywords that come out of Kraken, okay? And these are the top level themes that you'll see over here in the root. These will be like the 5 keywords you've given me. And then what I will do is when I do my research, I'll put the interesting keywords into the interesting folder. And sometimes if I go deeper, I'll go into discovered keywords. But typically the discovered keywords is the folder that's created so that when you go to your Kraken research, you can save your keywords you've discovered in there as well. So you keep your data sets pure. You can see what came from me, and you can put what you want in there. In the competitors folder, basically you'll find the keywords competitors. So if we look at hair salon, it's basically a spreadsheet of all our top competitors. So if I open this up here, it's a CSV file, so that's why it's got formatting. But if we zoom in, there's my top competitors at the national level. Okay, so this is all the information you get back. And then in the white paper folder, this one here, what I do is I take an actual screenshot at that time of every single theme I've drilled into. So if we preview this, we zoom in, here we can see clip in here, PR2, page authority 31, domain authority 19, 16, 16, 12. I can just see everything about the guys. So we've got all this intelligence before we start building our site out. One, we know the website, we know who's got the market spread, we know who they are, and we can go dig deeper and we can go find everything about them. Okay, so you'll get this folder, and what we're going to do is we're going to import our keywords. So I'm going to click on import my keywords, and this will take us to a screen where we can choose what data source we want to use. Okay, so over here there's a download template. You can right click and save it. It's a CSV file. Don't delete row 1, but just drop your copy if you got keywords from another source. If you bring keywords into DWS, guys, make sure it's phrase match, Google phrase match. Okay, if you don't use Google phrase match, you can't really depend on the actual metrics. The whole system here is based on Google data. It's not based on Bing or Yahoo keyword data. Okay, so what we have is we're on the import keyword data tab, and I'm going to select Kraken Voma. That's what we've done research, and I'm basically going to browse to that folder. Okay. So click Browse, go to the folder, come on, and I'm going to pull in, what have we got here? Makeup, wedding, wedding makeup. Let's look at our keywords. Let's just look at wedding gowns, see what's going on over there. Now click Import. What that does is it imports that file, processes it, and it starts applying a few calculations for you, and it takes us to the keyword decision screen. Okay, so when we're on the keyword decision screen, what we got here is the hair salon. This is what the business is, and there's our wedding silo, there's our hair silo, and there's our makeup silo. So if you look at Sassy, we've got hair, wedding, and makeup. Okay. When I open it up, these are the keywords that I've started targeting. Okay, now if I open up the entire node, you'll notice that there's some parts of the site that have not been published yet. They're not actually live. And what DWS allows us to do, allows us to export out through the XML whatever part of the silo structure we want to move across. But when you're exporting out, what you've got to be aware of, guys, is you cannot export out your categories if you don't have the silo in place. Now the way the structure works is the first nodes are silos, the second node is our categories, okay, and the fourth layer is our supporting articles. So what happens is when this gets imported into WordPress, the wedding silo becomes a page, the category becomes a page, and the supporting articles become posts in WordPress. Can you give me a 1 if you understand that? It's just a bit of the technical background of where you'll find your properties when you actually look at WordPress. So if we look at Sassy, let's have a look here. So if I go to my pages, it's taking a few seconds. Okay, let's jump back while we're waiting for that. Okay, so this is a silo framework here. There's links to Kraken and TOKT just from the tool there. And this is the filter system in DWS. So whenever you set a filter, remember your setting always. Okay, if you want to clear it, you've got to click Reset Filter down here on the bottom right. Now, typically, let me just reset that filter. Let's just add wedding gowns to our website. We're not going to publish it, but we can still add it and see what it looks like when we tell the story. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the technical way of doing this. If I want to add a new silo, I click on the top level keyword. This is the index page of the site, hair salon. Yes, welcome. We're talking about keywords. We got imported keywords, and we're going to basically just work with them and move them into DWS. Okay. Cleared my filter. I've selected hair salon over here. This is the index of the site. Now we want to look for wedding gowns. The filter's a wildcard. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is just put gown, and I want to filter that data set that I have. There's 140 keywords, and we've got 3 keywords that came back with gown inside it. Okay, so what we have here is the competing pages is this first column. If you hover over the little question mark, I'll tell you what it is. The search volume, this is monthly search volume. Based on our business rules, how many potential conversions, i.e. sales, could we make with this keyword a month if we were ranked in position number 1? The time to rank, 1 month. Why is that? It's because of the size of the keywords in this locale that we're looking at. In South Africa, the market's tiny for this one, which is quite surprising. It's only 215,000 pages, which is considerably small. With DWS and with the Kraken data and with the WR framework, it's almost like taking, I was saying to Mitch the other day, it's like when you start applying all the stuff we teach you guys, it's like taking a nuclear bomb to a fist fight. It's just, you got a lot of power behind you. And when you learn to use the right power in the right circumstances, then everything seems to work much better. And you can see it with the case study with Sassy. It's quite interesting seeing how I've achieved so much with such little fiddling on the side. Okay, so here's two questions here. Mitch is saying, can you speak to your own rules for how many silos and categories you use when you add the additional fourth level supporting articles? Okay, I think I understand your question. Let me just read it again. Can you speak to your own rules for how many silos and categories? Okay, guys, typically when I start a site out, when we started with Sassy, I looked at the business and I thought to myself, okay, what do they do? They work in the wedding industry, they work in the hair industry, and they work up in the makeup industry. So those are the three verticals I have to work in. So I just started off with the three silos. And because I know nothing about the market, I decided that the three silos, which become pages in WordPress, okay, so wedding becomes a page in WordPress, hair becomes a page, and makeup becomes a page. Let's flip across quick and I'll show you so you can get the correlation. Okay, I've changed all the headlines already. But essentially, here's all the pages of the site. Okay, these are the pages and the categories. What I did first was I found out the sectors, then I looked at that and I thought, okay, what product or what service do they actually sell in the specific sector? So what does Sassy do in the wedding sector? Okay, they do bridal hair, they do professional makeup, they do wedding hair makeup, wedding makeup and hairstyles, wedding hairstyles. These keywords came in because I found them through the Kraken data. But basically, I looked first for the services that they offer. And the same for hair. They did hair care, they're hairdressers, they do hair extensions, they do hair accessories, hair products, hairstyles. And same for makeup. They do bridal makeup, makeup lessons, makeup artists, bridal hair and makeup courses. These are the services that Sassy actually offers. So I first marked those out, and that took me literally 15 minutes. I had the technical design mapped out for my site. Within the next 5 seconds, I could hop across, go to the DWS silo importer, okay, this one over here, click on silo importer, then I can point to the XML that I've generated out of DWS simply by putting it in draft. Okay. I turn that off by default. I go browse to my thing. Advanced settings, I'll talk to you about this a bit later on. I click import my silo, and that whole silo moves into the blog. And it's live. It's ready. Okay. I've got a few videos which are in the course where I built a whole website out in 10 minutes. And using the video silo plugin, we actually brought in all the YouTube videos, and we had a whole site built out literally in seconds. It was ridiculous how fast it is. But typically, the rule of thumb is when you build a silo out, you want a single silo with a minimum of 3 categories. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have to create a theme. Okay, so if you look at the silo, in a silo, we've got a container with 3 categories. That is the bare minimum you need. If you have less than that, it's not a silo. Okay, so some people say don't go more than 5. Depends on the market you're working in, and it depends on the story. I see a lot of guys try and build these used sites where they got like 600 nodes in their silo architecture, where they're trying to have every single keyword. Those sites don't work. They don't make sense, and it's overkill. You don't need to do that. You'll get better conversions, and you'll make more money faster if you just pinpoint exactly what you want to get ranked for, build it in, build the story around it. So like when we look at Sassy, we tell a story all the time. Befores and afters, weddings. These are just weddings that the girls have done. Before and afters, weddings, products. The girls are promoting. There's another wedding done over there. So we're in wedding season now at the moment. There's before and afters. This is working really, really well for the business. They're doing really great. They booked full till February next year with basically just weddings through the summer period. But if you look at what we built out and what we're mapping out here, and when you look at the case study that I'm showing you, you're going to see how powerful the silo architecture is if you actually focus on what the market personality wants. Okay, so how do we find what they want? We have to think about what they want, and then we go to our keyword grid, and we look at the keyword grid, and we say, look, does this keyword actually work for us? So let's just say one of our clients was looking for wedding gowns, and we had a friend who made wedding gowns, and we're going to add a section to the Sassy site promoting the wedding gowns because we got a commission. Okay, I just typed in gown, wedding gowns came in. I'm looking at it, it's flagged as a silo, okay? And there's plenty of search around it at a national level. We can get potentially 7 leads, 7 sales a month, and it's going to cost us basically 625 Rand to actually develop that silo. Now, what the keyword decision screen does is it looks at each keyword as an individual and it applies 17 rules to that keyword and then scores it, ranks it, and then filters it and pulls the best keywords up to the top. Now, this little icon we have here on the side, if we click on this here, it's going to open that in a new tab. This takes you down underneath and it shows you all the processes we've evaluated the keyword by. Okay, and you can actually look at it. So if you look at this little chart here, you've got the traffic click-through conversions, you then got your on-page conversion, you got your backlink and development costs, you got your income potential, then the income versus potential, and then we end up with profit. So we're taking the traffic, hitting our site, applying the conversions, applying our expenses to develop the content, and we're checking, do we make profit? And on each of the rules, you can actually go through and have a look and see what's happening as the story unfolds about the keyword. And it gives you a quality score at the bottom. Okay, so that's how the keyword decision screen works. It does a lot of analyzing in the background, processing all our business rules, looking at the whole story, and brings us the best keywords forward. So now for our wedding gowns, we could essentially add that as a silo. Okay. So let's just type in wedding and see what else is going on around wedding before I figure out where to put wedding gowns into the story. So I'm just going to click submit and bring that back. Guys, let me just look at your questions quick before I move on to actually add it now. I really want you guys to understand what we've built at DWS. It's one of the most misunderstood tools in the market, but it's one of the most powerful tools to get the power you got from Kraken, all that market intelligence that's worth so much money. This tool takes this and allows you to quickly analyze it, evaluate it, and then create a blueprint that actually works and ranks and creates leads. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. Walton was saying, of the 3 keywords, which would be pages and which would be posts? Wedding gowns, evening gowns, ball gowns. I haven't made a decision yet. I looked at wedding gowns and saw we had 3 options. I'm going to go through the story now, but what I've done is I've rolled back through the keyword metadata and I've gone 1 level up to wedding. So I've taken the keyword wedding gown, I saw the 3 options there. Now I'm going back to wedding and I want to see, okay, where does this come into the story and what else? So yeah, I've noticed wedding dresses has actually come up. Okay, but let me answer the questions and I'll come back to this, Welton, because this is an important part for mapping out the story. Mitch is saying, and when do you decide to use supporting articles to your silo, and at what point do you publish them to the site? Right. My process is this, guys. When I map out a business, I basically look at the business segment that they're working in, and I map out the product and service that they offer within that segment, and I organize the site in that way. And I typically do my silos, and I get my my 5 category keywords or my 3 category keywords in. Okay, I publish it, I write my content, and I make it go live as fast as possible. Then I just let it sit. Okay, so I publish, I build my first silo, write the content, I put it live. I build my next silo, write the content, I push it live. I build the third silo, write my content, I push it live. I'm showing you to do this in the course as well. I'm recommending you do this because by the time you finish the 3rd silo on the 3rd week, you've got 3 weeks of analytical data. Okay, you've got 3 weeks of your site moving up the rankings. You've got 3 weeks of being productive while you're working on other things. This is why I sort of do it in that way. And in this case study, you can actually start seeing the movements. Okay. So let's look at this. Does it answer your question, Mitch, before I move on? I've got so much to tell you about the tool today. I'm sort of rushing because I can already see I'm on the hour already. Guys, are you happy for me to carry on and just show you how I use DWS? Because we're nearly close to the hour. Just give me a 1 if you want me to carry on, or 2 if you're short for time. Okay, cool. I'll carry on. Great. Right. So we are speaking about wedding gowns, and basically Welton asked, of the 3 keywords, which would be the pages, which would be the posts, okay, wedding gowns, evening gowns, ball gowns. Before I make the decision, I look at the vertical, because remember, when Kraken draws the keyword data, okay, it comes from a vertical perspective. So it comes from the top, and it looks down, and it grabs the best keywords and brings them back for you. And it filters through like 120,000 keywords. Then we take those CSV files, we hoover them into DWS, and we've got the best keywords. We don't have to worry about everything else. We don't care. Because with silo architecture, you rank for thousands of keywords, even though you focus on a few. Okay? It's just the way that works with theming and how the semantics all work around it. Okay, so I looked at wedding gowns, and the first thing I try and figure out is I need to find out where the traffic stream is. Where are people moving? Most shops in the high street make a lot of money and they pay a lot of rent because there's a lot of traffic there. There's a lot of feet going past and there's a lot of transactions happening every single day. On the web, we need to mirror and try and simulate real-world transactions. People are just using devices to find the stuff that they want. So how do they speak to it? How do they find it? So I went back and I looked at gowns, wedding gowns. It was 215,000, and we had like 2,000 searches a month. Okay, wedding dresses, 800,000 competing pages phrase match, 88,000 conversions, 222 versus 7. Okay. What does this mean? We found how people express themselves. Now, if you want to build good websites, you need to understand the language. And Kraken gives us the language. It gives us the conversations, and it gives us how people express their thoughts. And when you start thinking about building your website from that perspective, and you put yourself into the market personality's shoes, looking at this metadata that's come forward on Kraken here, on DWS here, we can clearly see that wedding dresses is the most popular keyword because it carries the traffic, it carries a lot of conversions, and it's a keyword that's worth investing into. Okay, so essentially, if we get ranked and we meet our business rules, okay, that keyword is potentially profitable because a lot of the traffic is coming along. Now, looking at Sassy's case study here, this is a real business. Would I put wedding dresses into their website? Okay, this is their WR1 website. This is the money site, the transaction engine. It's not the blog. Would wedding dresses actually qualify to be a silo on this actual website? I want you guys to give me a 1 if you say yes, or 2 if you don't think so. Just if you think of this case study, this business that we're dealing with. I've got 1, 2, Jerry says no, he wouldn't add it here. All the other guys are quiet. Well, I'm not sure. Anybody else? Okay, let's look at this logically, right? We're dealing with a hair salon. And the objective, the business objective of this hair salon is, because it's a new company, they've only been running for a year. Tonight's basically their almost their first year it's the first year they've gone with the company. And we needed to penetrate the market really quickly, but with basically zero budget, and we took no overdrafts in the bank. We built the whole business up from cash. We found a facility to rent, and we just moved in and started operating. Sarah and her sister's a stylist, Sarah's the makeup artist. They've got a lot of experience. So when we built the website, how did we get people to know about this? So we used Facebook. While we were busy building the site, we got Facebook up and running, and this is what happened here. And the girls are talking, and starting to get the buzz and getting people to know about them. Looking at the business, I had to figure out, okay, what's going to make these girls the most money as fast as possible without them even realizing what they need. Okay, because they focused on cutting hair, they focused on buying shampoo, they focused on buying hair dye, they focused on dealing with staff. They don't actually have the time to think about, okay, what's going to be the most profitable path for this business, right? So looking back at this now, at this whole story here, We had to focus on wedding, hair, and makeup. But the wedding silo was the most important silo, and the reason for that was for every one lead that the site can generate, potentially we're going to expose 3 to 4 people to the company. The second thing is, when it comes to weddings, typically a lot of money is spent and people are not shy to take the best, because that is the best day of their life. Even if they get married like 5 times, it's still the best of their life. So they'll spend the same amount, probably a bit less as they get older, but it'll always be a big affair. Okay. So this is why the wedding silo was the most important one, and that's why we mapped it out first and built it and got up there first as fast as possible. And literally in weeks we started getting leads, because what happens is, as soon as your site goes live and analytics is activated, Webmaster Tools is activated, and you submit your sitemap to Google, they will index your site and they'll say, okay, cool, this guy's actually right, he belongs in this locale, boom, 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 let's test his site. And they'll start giving you impressions. You'll start seeing these little speckles of impressions coming in. So coming back to the question I asked a while, would I add wedding dresses to the actual site? I would consider doing it actually in the blog and utilize it as blog content, because a person looking for wedding dresses is also going to need to get their hair and makeup done. So we are focused on hair and makeup, but wedding dresses is a tangent. So what we'll do there is we'll find a supplier that we can actually pass the leads on to, but we'll essentially make contact to a person and pitch our stuff at the same time as well in the whole process. So we can get a commission from the person, and we can actually pick up the client who's actually getting the wedding dress. Okay, that's typically the thought that goes through my head, and that's what I would try and achieve in the actual framework. The question is, no, I would not put wedding dress in the WR1, because it's not a primary product that Sassy offers. Okay. However, on the blog, the WRS one, under wedding, I will speak about wedding dresses as much as I can, and I will definitely try and get that page ranked for wedding dresses, so we can start hoovering in all those. Plus, every time we do a post on a beautiful wedding dress, that shoots off to Pinterest, it goes to Facebook, it goes through the one-feed system, and we start attracting more traffic from other sources to our actual WR1 site or our WR1 blog. Okay, so what you guys need to do is, when you're designing your site and you're looking at the keyword, think to yourself, what does this keyword mean to the business, and how does it actually fit into the story, and then where does it fit into the framework? Okay, and if you can get this balance right between the transaction engine and the blog, and find the balance of finding the right traffic, you get a very interesting mix when you start designing the site structures out. Okay, so as I rolled on this list, we can see venues, invitations, dresses, ideas, cakes, decor, rings. We're going down, flowers, 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 suits, gowns, hair, gifts. And I'm looking where we come into saying, here's wedding makeup over here. Okay, 300 searches a month. Okay, so through the grid we can see that there's a lot more traffic and a lot more conversations to be held through the company's blog on other topics related to weddings, wedding hair and makeup, that can drive traffic and bring people in and bring more leads. So DWS gives you the power to essentially see where the traffic flows, where the money flows, and what does it actually mean to your business based on your business rules. And then you can actually see what it's going to cost you to get ranked for that theme. Now remember, each keyword we're looking at over here is a theme. Okay, it's not a keyword, it's a theme, it's a conversation, it's a topic point. So when we move a topic point across to the silo architecture, we must decide how big the conversation is, or where does it belong in context to the story that we're telling. Okay. So do you guys sort of understand, does that clarify how I think about keywords and what the thought process is that I go through when I actually look at where I put keywords into a site structure? Does that give you some more insights into how I use this tool? Because I want to take you to the next step of what some of these icons and things mean. Can you give me one if you're clear, or if you've got questions, just let me know. Because I want to clarify this so that when you come to the tool, you're not like, like freaked out. You just look at it, great, okay, I understand what I must do, bang, bang, bang. Because when you move silos, it's fast. You can build a silo in 10 seconds. And the whole process here is understanding how you want to present your story. When you got that right, then everything else just works really nicely. So Mitch is saying, so you might add a wedding dresses silo to your blog and not mirror it on the W1. Yes, I might not add it as a blog, because remember, when we mirror our blog, which we'll get to, guys, Mitch is just saying when we mirror, because Mitch has been through the process already. Our W1 primary site and our blog typically have the same silos on either side. Okay. However, on the blog, the conversations are much more broader, but they still fall within the site. And you can either link to your blog, or you can link to other assets that are relevant to the conversation from the blog. Because remember, we want to have a single entry point for everything. Okay. So in Sassy's case here, under the wedding silo on the blog, I would just have a category basically saying wedding dresses, and I'll just talk about it. And I'll basically say, this is a beautiful dress that this lady wants. We did her hair, blah, blah, blah. We did her makeup. Her friends, all 5. Here's a happy picture of them all. They say, look, absolutely stunning. We wish them best. You just talk to people, okay? And then you Facebook, and then you like that person, and say, you link them through Facebook saying, look, hey, we put a photo up of you. You look absolutely beautiful on your day. Bang. With a link back to your blog post with a story. This is essentially how we're connecting the data up, but it's also how we're attracting traffic, because you say, hey, go to Sassy and check out my wedding photos they took of me. Next minute, the person's followed them down onto the blog. They then go to the transaction engine, or they're getting exposed to the brand. They phone the number, they fill in the opt-in form, bang, it's a lead. It's another person you bring in. So that's typically how I think about it when I look at keyword data of where it fits into my story. Okay, cool. So basically what we got here is this first icon here is essentially just the metadata of, it's the business rules. It's how we've filtered down. You can see as the guys come in how it gets filtered down, and you can see the numbers, how they shrink until we actually end up with a final amount of what we can make. That's that there. This one here, sometimes you import data and something doesn't look right. And when you go to Kraken or you go to Google and whatever tool gives you a number that you're comfortable with, you can click on that little icon, and it allows you to update your competing pages. You can actually clean up the keyword. There's a weird little symbol in there, and you can actually put the monthly searches in. You can tweak things out if you find them to be inaccurate or not. You're not comfortable with them. So that helps you adjust the stuff on the keyword decision screen. Now, every time the keyword decision screen loads, what it's essentially doing is recalculating everything, because it takes the assumption that whenever you make a change, the entire blueprint needs to adjust. So it's a dynamic environment that it's a modeling engine that fluctuates and turns and changes and reshuffles the keywords based on whatever filter you add in or whatever parameter you change in your business rules. Now, to get your business rules, you can click on the third tab over here, okay? And the S here stands for silo. The C stands for category. The SA stands for supporting articles. Okay, so it indicates based on your business rules, we spoke about silo sizes. Essentially what we're doing is we're chopping the data into 3 layers, and that's going to be the 3 layers of our site. And all the keywords that fit into those groups, DWS flags them and lets you know, okay, cool, this is actually fits into like a silo category. However, you still do have the flexibility to move things around. They're guidelines, but you don't have to adhere to them. Okay, it's not going to break anything. If you want to put a silo under a silo, you can do it. It's all dependent on your story. So don't let the technical kill your creativity and prevent you from telling a story that will basically help that person get what they want as fast as possible. Okay, so these little icons over here, we had a lot of fun working on this one. This was to indicate buyer's intent. So the way this works is when we look at a keyword, okay, with dollar bills, there's a high cost per click associated with that keyword. So if you hover over it, you can see on wedding photographer, it's got a cost per click of 20 Rand. It's like $2.95, okay? The one with the dollar and coins, it's medium, okay? So it's like 90 cents for wedding dresses. And when it's really low, I'm just going to see if we got one here. There we go. Wedding DVD. It's like information keyword or educational keyword. No one's really spending money on those keywords. Okay. So that's what those icons mean. Now, when we look at a theme, okay, these fields over here basically give us details about what it's going to take to get to rank for the theme. Okay, so with conversions, roughly based on our business rules for wedding dresses, we can get 220 conversions a month. Okay, the time to rank, roughly 8 months. Okay, TTR is in months. It's roughly 8 months to get ranked for wedding dresses. Suggested backlinks, roughly about 64. The suggested backlinks is essentially going to become obsolete now with domain authority stacking, and in the new version of DWS, we're going to start incorporating all the new ideas. But when you think about suggested backlinks, just think about the size of the conversation. The more content you have on site, the less backlinks you actually need. Okay, but I'm not saying go and create 20 or 64 articles underneath wedding dresses. Just become aware of the size of the conversation that you want to have or enter into. Suggested supporting articles, it's saying we need 16 articles. Okay, so 16 pages on the site is roughly what we need underneath wedding dresses. Okay, so if I'm going for a site that I'm going to target weddings, I need a site that's roughly 24 pages. If I'm doing wedding dresses, I need a site that's roughly 16 pages. Okay, so we can take wedding dresses and we can break this down into maybe 3 parts, 4 silos, and under each silo we can have 3 keywords, or we can do 3 silos with 5 categories. That gets us closely to that number. So that's roughly how I use those indicators to sort of, in my mind, let me figure out roughly how big the conversation needs to be. Okay. Now, sometimes you get to markets where they're so small that there's only maybe like 5 words that define it markets. They're the only 5 keywords that you can take. When that happens, build a site, a single silo with those 5 keywords, get it live, and wait for the feedback and see what happens. And what you then need to do is actually go drill into different ideas, because you may have come at the market to the wrong point of view. It's maybe like a little niche or something that's not the proper market. Go back into Kraken, drill around, and try tangent ideas or other ways of expressing that topic that you want to rank and dominate. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far with regards to this? Because I'm going to quickly just move a few cues and show you how fast and easy it is to actually shuffle a silo onto the framework. No questions. Awesome. So it seems like I've got you guys very clear. Right. Okay. So let's move some keywords. Just for this example's sake, I'm going to actually bolt on wedding dresses as a silo. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to simply click on hair salon. This is the index of the site. Okay. If we go to Sassy, it's the home page, the index. And on the index, we've got our silos. Okay. Where are our 3 silos? So I'm going to actually go on now and I'm going to bolt on wedding dresses. So I'm going to click on the first column, and you can only move a silo when you've defined a parent that it belongs under. Okay. Are you guys clear on that? Can you give me a 1? Because if you text me in Skype saying, I don't know, it's going to cost you a beer at certification. Okay. Right. So there's wedding dresses. Move to blueprint. When the page refreshes, that blueprint's silo structure is actually being created. Then I can come and say, okay, under wedding dresses or wedding gowns, I want to pick a few keywords and build a little silo around it. Okay. Just waiting for it. Okay, so there's wedding dresses over there. Now to create the silo, I click on wedding dresses, I change the parent over here, so we can look at wedding ideas, because that's pretty broad. A lot of search volume for the competing pages. Here's a keyword I would investigate. Now, sorry, I was clearing my throat. This little indicator over here, the golden star, shows a potential niche that is profitable. And the way this works is when we go to our business rules, sorry, I'm jumping to a bit of a tangent here, but I forgot to tell you about that little indicator. It's quite a cool one. In the golden niche identifier, basically I'm saying, give me all the keywords where the competing pages are less than 100,000 and has the potential to earn me more than 1,000 a month. Okay, that's basically what I'm doing there. When I set that, any keyword that falls within that parameter gets flagged as a golden niche. Now, as I was moving down the list, can you see I've caught my attention? Wedding ideas. 21,000 pages, 26,000 searches a month. Now, if that's true, that's a keyword I can get ranked for really quickly with a lot of traffic associated to it. Is it something I can put into my blueprint? Yes. Is it part of my blueprint under weddings? No. So I'm going to quickly shift this one in, but this category here, I want to verify that number to make sure that it's actually true. Okay, so what we can do is just quickly up to Google. And we just put this in phrase match. That's the UK. Change it around. So it's 4 million. So there's an anomaly there. So I'm going to quickly just change this. So sometimes data comes in. Now with Kraken, when this happens, Kraken's data, the way it's filtered, this is another thing you guys need to know. When Kraken extracts this information, it uses advanced search filters. Okay, so it's not bringing in all languages, it brings in English language. And it brings in specifics. Okay, so it filters out a lot of the trash. So the competing pages will always be slightly different. But if that was the case, what we can do here is I'm going to change this just for the example. And we see where this keyword actually ends up. Okay, wedding ideas. Let's find that quickly. Okay, so it's still good. Still profitable, but it's not a golden niche. Okay, so these type of things are what we're going to do. So I want to take wedding ideas. I actually want to move that under weddings. So I select the weddings. And then we can twist wedding ideas into hair, okay, and makeup. And we can talk about the servers, what they can do. So we can just go move that to blueprint. So then come back to my wedding dresses silo now. Going to select that. And I'm going to switch the modifier from wedding to dress. So we've got wedding dress, hairdresser, hairdressing, wedding dresses. So there's some locales. Okay, so there's one there. Designer wedding dresses, simple wedding dresses, and here's a whole bunch of locales as well. Okay, so I'm going to move those two across. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at my list, my options, I'm seeing little searches, and I'm just building out the silo as I'm going through my story. Okay, now there we can go. There's our categories underneath it. If I go gown, because I know in the gown we had like 3 different options. And I'm going to create some supporting articles. So I click on designer wedding dresses, and I'm going to take these ones. Okay, evening gowns, wedding gowns. I'm going to move it to my blueprint. And that's it. I've simply got a silent moved out here. Now you see these two little X's over here? When you see these, essentially what it's indicating to you is that wedding gowns is a bigger conversation than designer wedding dresses. Okay, so if you see this and you actually think, okay, I want to move these back underneath as categories, you can through manage the blueprint. But if you want to basically say, okay, for designer wedding dresses, we've got wedding gowns and evening gowns, it's up to you how you want to tell the story, guys. Okay. Okay. Right, where are we now? So I'm going to quickly move these ones back. So I click on Manage Blueprint. Now I've shifted those keywords into the supporting articles, right? So I click on Supporting Articles, and we can see the two here. So there's the parent, designer wedding dresses. I want to move wedding gowns back. So what I do is we've got two choices here. The folder with the icon allows us to keep notes on every single keyword. Okay, so we can add notes and we can customize the order. So let's just say we want to change to have the order sits in the silent navigation. We can do this over here. We can also come in and change the metadata of that keyword, the cost per click, the traffic forecasted, the PPC costs, the competing pages. We can update everything about that specific keyword through that folder there. If we want to move a keyword around in the blueprint, we just use a little toggle, which I'll show you now, which is the green arrow. Okay, so let's move these ones back to categories. So what it gives us here is wedding gowns. At the moment, it's a supporting article. I want this to become a category, but it must become a category of what? So it's not. I'm not going to make a new silo. If I did this, it would make it a new silo, but I want to actually make it a category of wedding dresses. Okay. So click Move, and you'll notice that the keywords disappeared. Now I can do the same again with this one as well. It becomes a category of wedding dresses. So click Move. Now if we go to our categories, there's all the wedding dresses there. If we go back to our blueprint, design my site, there's wedding dresses, there's our mini silo. Wedding dresses, wedding gowns, evening gowns, designer wedding dresses, simple wedding dresses. And so we can dig deeper and find other stuff as well. So like if we type in evening, who knows what we'll come up with. But what I do is when I build my sites out, I'm constantly thinking about the market personality. What does this girl want? She's looking for makeup, or she's looking for wedding dresses, or how do we communicate with these people? And this allows us, with the WR framework, we can keep on creating subdomains. So we can actually create a subdomain on Sassy that deals specifically with wedding dresses. And we can generate leads for other companies who then send traffic and business back to us offline. There's multiple ways you can use the framework. Okay, so coming back to this, just like we've got a blog here, which is the broadcasting engine, so we can create another blog over here, or another WR site that's part of our WR1, which deals specifically with wedding dresses, or wedding cakes, or wedding designers. Each one of these subdomains is a self-contained theme. Okay, so when Google looks at the site, he understands the primary, he understands the blog, he understands all these other subdomains. So if you've got a really big story that you need to tell, you can expand using more subdomains as well in your framework. And this is why each thing is loosely coupled, because then we can connect things and we can control things more effectively. Plus we can run cleaner analytics. We can have an analytics account for each one of the subdomains if we wanted to as well. There's multiple options that open up to us when we build the framework. this in this manner. Okay, so that's how we map the silos. So basically, it's very simple next. So we've got our site up, we design our structure, we click Mark for Publishing. Now, what that's going to do is going to give us a screen, and we can actually cherry pick what keywords we want to publish to generate the XML. So the screen is very simple. You can see our site over here. And the way this works is, remember we added wedding ideas, we added hair accessories, and we created this new silo over here. If we want to publish that page and these silos, all we have to do is select the parent and the siblings and click approved for publishing. Okay. If we want to deselect a particular silo, we can click remove. Okay, we can turn it off. So when we pull that XML in, it actually that won't add that other thing. We can actually control what we want, published and not published. Okay, so once you've approved what you want published, the next tab here is build your website first. This is just a little site. We've got some instructions, some videos showing you how to build your site really quickly. And then to get your blueprint, you click on number 5, export my blueprint, and there it is over there. There's your XML. So if you click on this, and we open this up, I use First Object XML Editor. It's a free application that you get. It's really nice, and that allows me to see the XML data in a nice format. So if I bring this in here, so if we look at this node, there's a page name, the unique ID of the page, we know what its parent is, there's our title, there's our keywords, there's a description. Now in DWS Pro, you can actually add all the metadata you want, okay, your article, all that kind of stuff. And when you import it into the blog, it puts all the articles and everything in one shot. The blog's built in literally a page load. Doesn't matter how big the site is, okay. So that's what it looks like when we import the XML. And that's the XML that we'll take into Sassy. Where is it? It's here. No. It's there. We'll click Browse, and then we'll point to the XML file that we want to import. Okay. Now, yeah, on the importing thing, if you're using Mini-Me, okay, just keep everything on the primary keyword. If you're using DWS Pro and you want to be a bit creative or you want to change things up, you can change your slugs to page titles or the article headline. It's totally up to you. Okay. So your title can be the page title, it can be the article headline, it can be whatever you want out of those three. I don't recommend putting the page title and article headline for the slug. Okay, it's going to make the URL very, very long. Okay, and you click import, and that builds your site, and that's the site done. Do you guys have any questions so far? I've only covered the Mini-Me version. There's a lot more in the advanced version. In the members areas, guys, we've got videos on the pro version of DWS. But like I said, we're busy rebuilding. I'm in the process of redesigning any silo builder. It's the new version, and it's just incorporating all the new stuff that we've developed over the last 2 years. So it's going to be a brand new application, rewritten, and it's going to be super, super cool. When is it out? Still in prototype stage. We're still deciding what we want to do. So it's a ways off, but it's on the actual board. We're physically starting to work on it now. Cool. So guys, that's how DWS works. So basically, when you log in, you input your keywords, you design your site, you mark what you want to publish, you grab your blueprint, you stick it into the blog, you press submit, bang, your site's there. It's as easy as that. In the course here, you can see here, this video here, it's basically 6 minutes where I show you I built the site in 6 minutes. So go ahead and watch it. You'll just see me build it. Sorry, this is the one where I built out Sassy. You actually watch the whole thing. I go into a lot of detail with DWS there. So this week's homework, okay, the first thing I want you guys to do is basically build out your framework. If you got your framework built out already, get your keywords to me so I can drill them and I can get them back to you guys. It's the only way to start is to start to get going, eh? And while I'm drilling keywords, get your framework up, get your site up, and if you don't have anything to sell yet or you don't have a product, just go find something and just create a site and watch what happens, because it's from the experience that you're going to get all this learning when you start seeing the data coming back. I think it's on my desktop here. Let's see something quickly. This is the case study that I've prepared for you guys. But in this process, this is showing you what's happened in SASE. I'm just going to quickly scroll through this quickly and show you guys what's going on. Zoom out here. But what we've done is we just looked at what happens when we install a few components. And in this process, or this case study, essentially all we've done here, I'm just going to get to the component screen. Sorry. We've got the server, we've got the top level domain, the www, we've got the SASE managed site. That's all I built for the case study over here. We've then done analytics. We've got an autoresponder that's capturing our emails. There's no payment gateway, so that we're not using a payment gateway. We're using WP Manage to back our stuff up. We're using a CDN, okay, and we're using semantic web. We've not set up the one feed yet, so we still got components that are missing on SASE, okay. But in this case study, what you're going to clearly see is by creating the story and creating the right DNA braid that touches the anchors, the keywords that people use and express, okay, you get traffic almost instantly and attention from the search engines. So when you look at this is starting at May till September, and you can watch, if you took a mean and you drew a line, you can see that it's constantly getting louder and louder and louder. The signals are becoming more and more and more aggressive for hair salon. When we look at weddings, now these are the silos. I'm looking at these keywords on the actual site, okay? I'm looking at the silo terms. These are vertical terms. And already we're getting impressions from the search engines on all of them, okay? Now what I typically do when I track my keywords is I track the silos, and then I put my DNA braid keywords and my category keywords and supporting keywords within the silos, so I can look at the whole group. And what you'll see here in this case study is from the launch, the site's just taken off. Everything's going up. I'm just showing the charts for now. You can see all the movements. And this is through all the things. So when we get to the case study, you can see what I did over here, what I did over there to create the movement, what I did there to create that, what I did there to create that. But in the case study, I've done things but back to front. I did the SEO on-page SEO last because I wanted to show you with like a poorly built site sitting on top of silo architecture, we still move really faster than everybody else. And I've proved it in this case study. Over here, if we look at these dates, these are leads coming in from 2013, 2014, January, February, March, April. Leads coming all the time. Here's a letter from one of the ladies. Message, hi, I'd like to inquire about bridal makeup. My wedding day is the 20th of December 2014. That's now. I'll need makeup done for 4 ladies, myself included. So there's a lead for 4 people. This is what we're after. It's working. Is it possible to please send me your price list of bridal makeup? What I noticed here is she uses bridal makeup. And in our site, what are we using? Let's go back to DWS. Design my site. What I do is I go look at my silo architecture. Am I using bridal makeup? I go look for the keyword in my keyword data. What is it worth to me? And then I think, where does this keyword belong? Is it a contextual keyword we're going to actually use in the blueprint? So we go to wedding, bridal hair. I beg your pardon. But yeah, you can see I chose wedding makeup. So part of my DNA braid, I'd use bridal makeup as the DNA braid. I use bridal makeup in a headline maybe. I might use bridal makeup as a keyword, anchor text. in one of the blog posts. Okay, so this is how we start looking at what people are doing and how we get back to them. Let me see if you've got any questions here. Josh asking if I got his keywords. Yes, I got your help desk ticket, Josh. They'll be drawn out by tomorrow. Erwin, this PDF's not out yet. I'm just giving you guys a little sneak preview. I've still got to do crazy egg. There's a whole bunch of crazy egg analytics that I want to add into this. I'll just show you quickly. I use crazy egg to track screen stuff. I'm going to get more into this in weeks 6 and 7 when we actually so let's just look at the about page. Start that one. Which one am I after? There's all the pages. Okay, so you can see I'm tracking all the pages. So let's look at the wedding silo one. So I'm going to view the results. And what this does is it helps me figure out, is my call to actions being seen? And where are the people clicking? And with this, I can actually see what keywords are the guys using to come in on. And then I can start adding these keywords into my site contextually in certain places on my blog. But interesting enough, everyone's clicking on weddings, the breadcrumb. They're looking at makeup and hair, so we can see the hotspots. We can see which links these people are clicking on the actual site. What images are popular. And then what I like to look at is the scroll map. What's being read? Where's the hotspots? Now this page is on fire. So if you look at the index, you can see where the attention is. So that day, creating the perfect bridal hair has hit a nerve. They're actually stopping and spending a lot of time looking at these pictures. Okay. Do I put a call to action underneath here? Where's the best place to put it? Okay, so it's over here. Between that would be a great place right over there for an ad, or between this text, we actually push everything down a little bit. As we get down, call us on. So my phone number is not hot. Okay, so this is what I'm going to add into the actual thing. With the confetti, what this shows me is what keywords people are using. So we can see the referrers, direct Google, search terms, there's none. Okay, so some pages you don't get search terms, on other pages you do. And it's quite interesting to see how you pick up the local long tails using this type of tool. Okay, so back to the application. That's DWS, guys. It's a super powerful tool, and it crunches a lot of numbers very, very fast. To process every single one of those keywords manually is virtually impossible. And then still apply all the other algorithms that are bound to this keyword decision screen. And then choosing those best keywords that have value to your business that you can actually see this is potentially going to create sales or create leads or create conversions, and map that and bind that into the core of your whole site, because your silo architecture is at the heart of everything. Everything is stacked on top of those foundations. The content, the persuasion layer, everything is put on top of it. Everything is connected to it. Social profiles are connected to that story. And this is why we have to really, really, really think clearly about what it is that we need to say to the market personality. The days of building websites where they look like this, where it's just wedding ideas, blah, 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 blah. They work okay, but they don't work as good as until you start pushing buttons. So if we drop into the wedding silo, Russell's going to speak to us in weeks 5 and 6 about the persuasion layer and headline article writing. And basically, this is our first iteration, planning the perfect wedding. This was actually wording that we got from Painfinder. We noticed that the guys were using perfect a lot when they spoke about wedding. Then we hit some pains in ensuring your bridal hair is perfect. But this is soft. We're touching them softly. We don't want to scare them away saying, oh my God, the sky's falling if you don't do your hair sassy, or wedding shockers. When you're dealing with a business, you've got to be very sensitive to how the business wants to present themselves. And when you design your site architecture and your site navigation, the verbiage you use in the actual anchors as headlines, you've got to be sensitive that it represents what the company's trying to say as well. So don't make the mistake when you start building your sites for clients and stuff. making up, using fear-mongering, okay, because like with SASE, they didn't want fear-mongering, they didn't want big call to actions, they want everything pristine and clean and black and white and tidy, so that the vibrance of the pictures comes through. That was what the ladies wanted from us. So I've sort of pulled that through and they're happy. The client's happy. Now I can get on with my job and start getting ranked for all the keywords in the background because the WR1, the framework's in place and the client's happy, they've signed it off. Okay, so this is a bit of a different chat I've had today with you guys. I've not gone this way around speaking about DWS before. I thought it would be good if we actually mixed it all up with the case study, with the real-world site, so you can actually see how this blueprint that we designed over here has actually changed and become content in the site with widgets and elements and interaction. Okay, so I should have the PDF probably finished by the end of next week. Got a lot of work on this week just with your keywords and all the drills. So the case study, I'll get it to you guys as soon as possible. I might just squeeze it out in tomorrow morning, finish it up, and I'll drop it into the Skype group for you guys. But in the case study, if you just jump back there quick to finish off, you see us getting the leads, but then I take you through the processes of what I did where to make the site move and create the stepping stones. And the important thing I want you guys to take away from the case study is becoming aware of the components we add and the effects they have, so that we can start learning when to add what components that we need. Okay, because often some sites you're going to build need less attention than other sites you're going to build that need a lot of attention, and it's going to help you gauge your time. Okay, so as we go down, you can see here I'm looking at all the keyword groups as things are moving, but there's a few more I want to show you, which is quite interesting. Here's one of them. This is SASE, right? And if you look here, we've got 2 backlinks and a citation flow of 7 from Majestic. Okay, so that at the time of writing, there's the 2 backlinks, and it's just basically citation sites. But just purely because of the silo architecture and how we've told the story, let me get past all the CDN stuff. When we look at the keyword groups and we look at Google across all our keywords, we've had a constant climb in visibility in comparison to our competitors. This is one of our main competitors. Okay, this is Bliss, one of our main competitors. They're basically flatlining. We're taking over more and more and more of the rankings. This is with Bing, same thing. Took off, bang, exploded, shot off again. This is with Yahoo. It's just come in and bang, starting to move on. And what's interesting is when you start looking at these in context to what I'm speaking about, you can actually start seeing how the search engines respond to specific actions that you take. And that helps you make much smarter decisions when you build your sites. Okay. Yeah, so that's our visibility. You can see sort of came in, poof, exploded. The red line's all our branded keywords, our visibility, and that's our traffic coming in. It's just like exploded, bang. Just when we hit a certain point, the traffic just turned on, and it must be because it's summertime, we're getting a lot more traffic than before. I think it's because of silo architecture and what we're showing you guys here now. Okay, so I'll get this ready for you guys. And for this week, I've spoken about a lot of things. I've spoken about the site framework. I've then taken you through the components. I've taken you through actions. Now, in the case study, I'll speak about components and actions as well, and I demonstrated the component installation and the action installation and the effects of it. And what we're looking at in the case study is a CDN implementation, adding something to Freebase, and then basically doing on-site optimization and the effects it had. Now, what you'll see in the case study as well is every time you tweak your site and you do your on-page optimization, you're going to see things drop and then they come back. And in this case study, you can actually see that movement in the tracking. So if something moves, don't panic. Just give it time. Watch what happens. Because if you think about how the bots work, They typically come around every few weeks and check your site and they adjust things. And that's how it basically goes along. There are other bots that make fine adjustments on a more regular basis. But if you look at analytics for a while, you'll sort of see these movements happening. That's it. That's DWS, guys. So for the homework this week, I want you guys to get up your WR1 money site and your basic components. So that's like your plugin for SEO. Follow the instructions in week 3, and then we can take it from there. Okay, so any last questions before I wrap this one up, guys? There's a long call today. Sorry for taking the time, but I wanted to squeeze in as much as I could to explain the thoughts behind DWS and why we built it the way we did. Awesome, no questions. Great. If you guys need me, please ping me on Skype. I'll answer you there, and we can take the next steps. But what we need from you guys is your keywords. Decide what they are. Send them through to Kevin. He'll get your Kraken account up and running. And I'd like to get all that done this week so that when we move forward, by the end of this course, I want to have you guys having your sites finished. So I'm going to be pushing you guys on this course. And I want to sort of see your sites, and I want to see you guys starting to get the results that we're getting with Sassy on the projects that you're working on. Okay, cool. So this is Matt Cruz from empire.com, and basically I'll see you guys during the week on Skype channel, on our private calls, and I'll catch you guys next week on the webinar. Next week we're going to speak about basically importing siloed themes into WordPress. We sort of covered it today. I'm going to jump into that in a bit more detail and talk about a few of the stuff inside the actual blog. Okay, cool. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming around, eh? There's some questions coming, sorry. Jared's saying, so many sites content will be siloed structured with? Yeah, Jared, basically what Jared's asking here is the money site silo content will be, the money sites will be silo structured, and the blog's going to be more news related type of posts. They're both silo structured the way the plugins work, but the plugins work slightly different. With the blog plugin, things are a bit more looser, so you got silos and categories. And with your money site, we're using pages, okay? So your silo and your category are pages in WordPress. You don't have to use supporting articles, guys. I typically leave supporting articles till later on, like a few months into my site. Once I actually see how things are working on the silo structure, then I can start expanding and dropping down deeper and deeper to make the site much more stronger and solid, okay? But don't stress too much about having too many categories right now. Just start at the basic silo. Single silo, 5 articles, get that live, get the feedback. It's when you get the feedback back from the search engines, then you can start making the finer moves and the little tweaks to your site that will help you move faster through the rankings. Okay. Next week's Thanksgiving is still a call on. Guys, I'll verify that with Sue and Russ, and we'll let you guys know via the chat channel, the tech group, if there's going to be a call next week on Thanksgiving. I don't think there will be one if it's on. We might reschedule. Let me get some feedback on that, and I'll let you guys know. I'll just ping you through Skype. Christopher, the call starts usually 11 a.m. Phoenix, Arizona time. So I'm not sure what time. Is that 12 EST? I think so. I think it's 12 or 11 EST. I know it's 11 o'clock in Phoenix in the morning. That's when we typically start the calls for this course. Okay, awesome. Jared's saying it's noon Central Time. Great, guys. So you guys are happy with DWS? You ready to rock and map out some silos? Excellent. Okay, go for it and build your sites, guys. Have fun with it. When I built Sassy, I had fun. And it's even more fun when I look at the analytics and I start watching my competitors getting bumped out the way. And then I see them fighting back. You can see it through Majestic. They start doing little things with their backlinks and they're futzing around. And then you just do a little tweak and then you push them back again. It's good fun. I enjoy playing this game. For me, it's a big game. It's quite exciting. And when you're getting your company working and they're getting leads, it's great checking the business grow when your website starts doing what it's supposed to do. So I hope this was great for you guys today. If you've got any other questions, fire them through Skype. I'll put the Time Trader links back into the chat window for you. But that's awesome. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you guys during the week. Cheers,